Hello, everyone. Welcome back to weeks 4 and 5 of the Dogs with No Cage devlogs. The reason I was gone last week, mainly I was out of town for one, and then also I've been very sick for about a week. So if you hear me coughing, that's why. But that has kind of slowed things down for me quite a bit. But let's get into what I've been doing. So I got some advice in class that it might just be a little better and more creative for me to go more of a fantastical route with the game, which is totally fine by me and kind of what I was hoping to do anyway. So you'll see me here working on the enemy designs for this level. One of the things that has come up quite a bit in like discussing my game is like why would anyone want to switch characters, right? Like what purpose is there to the character switching? So for the level, I wanted to have two characters, or two enemy types rather, one for Amon to deal with and then one for Komori to deal with. So here is the first enemy type, which would be the Scarab faction, because the enemies are kind of like formed up in their animal factions. So so I've been designing this Scarab armor, or it's supposed to look like a scarab anyway. I did a few polls originally when I did my first coloring, and people were getting like an ocean creature vibe, which totally makes sense because I had some greens and blues going on. And I don't know, it's my first time kind of designing characters and armor sets like this, so taking it slow. Like I don't want to jump to like too many conclusions too quick on what looks best and like what really makes it feel right. So I've been getting feedback on like Instagram and then a couple people in person, and so at least for now I've switched up the color scheme from that greenish bluish color to a more like dark blue purple chitinous thing, because I think scarabs are more like purplish and blue, and then really emphasizing those like barbs on his forearms and his helmet that are more scarab-like or more insect-like, because that's kind of I want to give off like that hard exterior, because Amon will hopefully be taking down like the more tougher, heavily armored enemies and being able to shock them with his lightning powers, which Komori cannot do. Komori's also unarmored for the most part and like can't deal with these heavy enemies. So yeah, that was kind of my design decisions behind this guy. I also gave him a hammer because I think that's pretty cool and scarab-like. Anyway, getting into the second design here, which is the Vampire Bat faction. The deal with these guys, their powers are the ability to like harden their blood, or like I don't know if you want to call it like sanguine-mancy. I think that's probably one word for it. But I guess like I don't know, blood bending is probably like a similar, like if you're familiar with Avatar, it's like a similar explanation. Anyway, so I wanted to give off armor that fed into those powers and also kind of looked like a vampire bat. I'm still actually working on this one, so the final product you see at the end of this video is not actually what I'm going with, but you'll see me put in these like really harsh geometric shapes over his chest and his neck. The reason for that, the purpose for that was if you're if you can manipulate your blood, right, you probably want some way to access that really quickly. So the barbs on the end of the armor would be like, I don't know, if you rub your hand over the barbs, right, you'd start bleeding, and that would help them use their powers really effectively. One thing about these guys is they can only use their blood, right, because it'd be a little OP if they could just manipulate everyone's blood. So yeah, there's that cough. Yeah, and then that bandana, I mean, bats are mostly blind, so wanted to have something covering his eyes, and then those marks on the bandana are similar to like a vampire bat's face. So that's what I wanted to do with that. And the reason the armor placement is where it is not only so it's easy to cut yourself, but also it's protecting their most vital organs for like producing blood, so your neck, and also your heart. So yeah, that's why I placed it that way, and then I'll draw in that little blood knife as like an example of how they would use their stuff. Okay, so we're gonna look a little bit at what's changed um, in the past 2 weeks. You can see everything still works. I got rid of that bug where if you switch while running, um, it will cause like errors in the animation. So like all that works now. It's pretty smooth transitions. Um, but we do have a couple things I can point out right now that are new. We have this in the top left corner. We have like just a mock-up of what the UI formatting might look like. I will say, artistically speaking, it will not look like this in the final version, but it might be formatted similarly. I got some feedback on this, just in terms of like layout. Um, One thing someone pointed out to me is if you have the characters up on the screen here, you don't really need to know which one you're selected, right? Like you can see that. So what I might do is have some sort of like pop up when it's more advantageous to switch to the other character. I'll have some sort of animation play in the top left, and then like it will indicate when it's a good idea to switch. And then also, this is a shared health bar. I think that's better for kind of like story implications, right? Because like these are still kind of kids, so if one of them dies, you're not going to just leave the other one behind. So I think it makes sense to have a shared health bar for the both of them. Um, you'll notice these things don't actually work right now. Like this would be a cooldown for how often you can switch. Um, yeah, so just a bit of a mock UI right now, but I think that's interesting. Another interesting thing we have gameplay wise is a new button. Uh, Pretty proud of the animation on this so far. So far, I only have Komori's attack going. I don't think Amon's will be that difficult. I just didn't really have time to do his, so gonna be working on that. But if we let's okay, we're back in. I had to add something to the scene. Okay, so we have this white box here, and if I attack it 3 times, it goes away. So does not look super cool because there's a white box we're destroying, but it means that our attack actually works in the game. So like, let's say if I put like an actual enemy in instead of a white box, then it would actually do damage. Like the attack would do damage, and I know how to get that working now, which is super great. Um, so that's pretty much all of the gameplay changes. Yeah. Anyway, that's all for the gameplay. Just whipped up this quick sketch, really just give me an outro. But yeah, so I think honestly, I'm kind of liking the 2 week schedule. So we'll see what I do going forward. We've got enemies and enemy behavior coming up, and also I think I'll start getting sound into the game because it's about time to start doing that. So um, hoping you guys are looking forward to that in the coming weeks. And yeah, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you either this Sunday or either 2 Sundays for now. So yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. Really appreciate you guys really a lot. It's just a ton of fun to do this. So yeah, see you guys soon.